Atlanta, the capital of the New South. A place rich in history and opportunity. In downtown Atlanta, First Congregational Church is a powerful symbol of both.
It's been a gathering place for people of goodwill and people who care about our city for a century or more.
Founded by newly freed slaves and abolitionists, First Congregational Church is a special place for a diverse group of people, including world leaders and big city mayors like Shirley Franklin, who chose the church for her 2006 inaugural prayer service.
And we knew that its historic structure, its tremendous history in this community would be the right place to bring everyone together.
So on any given Sunday, you're going to find important leaders, civic leaders, important people, but you're also going to find them sitting next to people who are not famous, and we come to worship.
Over the years, First Congregational Church has garnered the reputation of being a place of exclusivity for people of prominence. But many church members today say this is a place for everyone.
It's like you have a whole big family come together. It's like a family reunion every weekend.
It's a friendly place and friendly people.
It's another great day here at First Church.
There's a feeling in this church that it's not just the people, it's kind of, the spirit of people. The spirit of people in the walls even. I just feel that there's a history here. And when we got here, it was like, okay, we're home. This is where we're supposed to be.
Freedom, freedom.
Before it became a church, First Congregational was actually a school. After President Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation, members of the American Missionary Association came to Georgia to help educate newly freed slaves. They called it the Store School. In addition to education, the missionaries helped many families acquire their first home.
When one black person managed to get a home, this was quite an achievement. This is some member of the church who has gotten a home. This is a point of pride, and so somebody took a picture of it.
Right after Atlanta was burned to the ground, here's a group of people, African Americans, who said, we want to call on God for help and for guidance, and that we are going to put our roots down right here in this town.
2 years after the Store School opened, attendees decided to formally organize a church inside the school chapel. It was named First Congregational Church. With financial support from the American Missionary Association, the church began providing much-needed social programs. From then on, First Congregational Church was recognized as a true center of the community. But when the church welcomed its first African-American minister, Henry Hugh Proctor, First Congregational would become a place people near and far would talk about.
Reverend Proctor came to us in 1894 and was the pastor until 1920. During that time, he made so many significant changes here in the church and in the city that he's still the one that we revere.
Under Proctor's leadership, the church became the largest and most progressive Negro Congregational church in the nation. It had 6 neighborhood missions that provided after-school programs and meeting places for community groups. But after the Atlanta race riots in 1906, Proctor decided what African Americans here needed was a place that provided education and job training. That place would be First Congregational Church. But those plans called for a bigger and better building. Proctor called on his friend Booker T. Washington to help launch the project.
The fact that Booker T. Washington and Henry Hugh Proctor were friends, and Booker T. Washington would come to give the groundbreaking speech, says that this was a church that was the locus of black intellectuals as well as people of faith and business people.
The church was completed in 1908. The building with its ultra-modern amenities was the talk of the town.
and they had a gym in the basement. And out back, they had a house for girls who came to Atlanta to work. And in the next building, they had business machines. Girls could learn to type. Oh, and this was just too much, you know. Of course they talked about it.
Word about the amazing progress of this church piqued the interest of President Theodore Roosevelt, and during a visit to Atlanta, he had to see it for himself.
And he walked around, he checked everything. The condition of the church, you know, the cleanliness, the number of books, everything. And he was the second president to visit here.
Presidents Roosevelt and Taft came here because this was a church of great distinction. Many African Americans who were newly educated and prosperous new business leaders in this community were at First Church. And so that's why they came, because it was an example of black progress.
Although the church made tremendous strides, perhaps no other act symbolized black progress more than the installation of the Connolly Fountain, erected in front of First Church for use by anyone, black or white, who was thirsty.
Blacks had to drink from horse troughs. There were no public drinking fountains for coloreds. And so this represented free, clean, cool water. And that metaphor, I think, is the active one for me. First Church seeks to be the oasis, the cool water for the 21st century, to satisfy the thirst of those that are thirsty and those that are in need.
Anyway, I brought some books in, so since you like mysteries, you might look up there.
I might do that.
Okay, all right. Okay. Who else is here?
Like its founding fathers, First Congregational Church continues to provide social services for the needy. This night shelter, owned by the First Church Community Development Corporation, is a place where women and children can get a hot shower, a place to study, and a place to sleep.
Ellis Street is a wonderful shelter. I have been here for about 2 years because I was depressed and anxious, and now I have a great psychiatrist at Grady Hospital.
I think we're much more interested in and active in being a part of our community and asking the question, what does that mean?
This is cornbread. This is our bread for today.
Homelessness and hunger are two of the most pressing concerns in Atlanta. Each week, First Congregational Church reaches out to those who cannot help themselves through its Agape program, which feeds well over 100 homeless men. They crowd the church fellowship hall to enjoy a big meal prepared in a very small kitchen.
Okay. We need 25 more.
It's very difficult to cook in this kitchen, and to try to serve hundreds of people is almost impossible. A lot of times I take the food home and cook it in my own kitchen because this is not adequate. And we're growing, we're getting young children, which is very good because we're going to need young children to keep the church alive. And they need space.
He's got the whole church in his hands. He's got the whole church in his hands.
Just as the members of First Congregational Church saw the need for growth and renewal a century ago, so do today's members. The same building that Booker T. Washington helped break ground to build is now worn and crumbling throughout. Although the church has been patched several times over the years, the congregation has decided the time has come for a major renovation.
This one, $2 that says $1 and $5.
You're going to give that to the church?
Yes.
Okay, what do you want us to do with that money?
Make the church better.
Well, I would like for it to be a church where we can all feel secure in, and there were times when the roof was leaking, you had to move, get out of the way of the leak.
I want the floor fixed and the sanctuary fixed.
I think that we should get the upstairs and the balcony and in the sanctuary. I think we need to get all that lint out and fix it all up and make so that it doesn't creak when you sit down.
A demolition was discussed. But after considering all that's happened in this building, named a historic landmark by the National Historic Registry, members decided to preserve it.
We've had a lot handed to us. Now we need to refurbish, rebuild, and refresh the sanctuary and the physical environment in which we do our programs, in which we do our worship, which is our base for affecting the larger community.
First Congregational Church has named its renovation effort the New Legacy Campaign, a multi-million-dollar project that will update and expand usable space while preserving historic features like these priceless stained glass windows. Progress is underway, and members continue to raise money to complete this important work.
It's like a great painting. Sometimes you have to restore a great painting so that the colors, the nuances, the texture is there for the next generation of folks to look at.
Members of First Congregational Church say the next generation is what the New Legacy Campaign is really all about.
A wise woman once said, "Actions speak louder than words." But what does it all mean if no one is listening?
Raising them up to be equipped to go out and minister to the community. They are not just members of the church, they are children of the church. And the membership is very invested in making sure that these children have everything they need.
Funds raised from the New Legacy Campaign will also be used to enhance meeting spaces for boards and auxiliaries of the church like the Men's Fellowship and the Music Ministry, which showcases a wide range of music.
We have to have a wide range and fine variety of music. So we do English anthems, we do anthems by African American composers, we do spirituals, of course.
And they do jazz, a treat that has grown into a semi-annual open house called Jazz Vespers, which attracts a standing room only crowd. Members worry, though, that the accommodations at the church are less than suitable for such a large public gathering.
There's an old saying that you have one chance to make a first impression. And when a visitor comes to First Church, that visitor gets a first impression. To the extent that the physical environment is not commensurate with what the visitors heard about the life of the church and the spirit of the church and the people within the church.
That you got to have the facilities, you got to have the capacity to serve people. And that's what New Legacy is all about, is giving us the foundation so that our children and their children will have the same type of worship experience that we're now having, that they'll have access to that.
Oh, say, can't you see it?
Worship, fellowship, community service, education, history, and progress. These are the words that define the New Legacy Campaign and the hopes and dreams of past and present members of First Congregational Church. We need your help. Please join our effort.
Make the church better.
God is able. God is able to deliver from the fire.
I see my life as a gift. It's a gift from God through the United Church of Christ. And it's been responsible for everything I've been able to do and everything I think and everything I am. And so my life has belonged to the service of God through this church. But without this church, I don't know where I'd be. And that's why it's important for us to give, to continue the work of this church in the lives of our children and generations yet unborn, that that work might continue, and that all God's children might have an opportunity to know the fatherhood of God, the power of God in their lives, and God's interest in making this world more like His kingdom.